page 45. So, I'm going to slow down now because this is one of those topics that we know, and that I know from marking exams, is done badly. Across the state, this is done badly. Students really struggle with this. There's a couple of bits that they get caught on, and the problem is they're usually worth a few marks. So if we're one of these and the exam was worth maybe 2 or 3 marks, that's a lot. Exam 1, 3 marks is 7.5% of the whole exam. 7.5% of the whole exam, gone. So they're worth knowing how to do if you can possibly get there. So, the two things about these, a couple of things about integration recognition. First thing is to don't forget, I'll say recall, that if you anti-diff a derivative, you get back to the original, okay? That's the first thing about it. So first thing to know when you're doing these questions is to recall that the anti-diff of diff gets you back to where you started from. How do you recognise these questions? I know this is we've got a bit of doubling up here saying how do you recognise int by recognition, but how to recognise is that you're usually asked to differentiate an expression, then / hence anti-diff something you can't do directly. You can read the writing. I'll read that out again. So I'm saying here, again, we're in this topic here, but in the exam, how do you know it's one of these ones? Well, usually you're asked to find a derivative and enhance anti-diff. Hence anti-diff. See over here, find a derivative, hence anti-diff. But usually it's something you can't do directly. Now we could do this one directly, so it's not a great example. But usually it's some stinky little thing we've got no rule to do that spec students couldn't do directly. But you can only do it from doing the first part. So that's how you see it. Diff, hence anti-diff, stinky expression. That's how you know it's one of these. So you take a breath, you buckle in, and you work your way through it. What you do is you follow your method. And there are different methods out there. I know there are different methods. Okay, there are lots of different methods of doing this, or there's a few main methods. So I'm just going to show you how we do it at our school. Just so if it's different to yours, you can go, or you can say, I might try that. It's up to you. Doesn't matter. If you've got an extra option, it's always nice to have options. But I'll show you how we do it at our school. So our method is as follows. What we do, like everyone does the first step the same, and that is differentiate as required. Differentiate as required. And that should be the easiest step. Diff as required. Now what we do is we immediately anti-diff each term, which seems backwards. You think I'm back where I started from, but trust. And then thirdly, we isolate the question. Okay? So look, yeah, at our school, like most schools, I've got some really strong students. I've had about maybe 550 in the last few years. But I've also got some really strong students. And for weak students particularly, a method is really handy. If you write this in your exam 2 notes and you do a couple of practices of them, if you can follow a method faithfully, you should get it right. So we're going to follow this method faithfully, okay? There it is. Diff is required, immediately anti-diff each term, and then isolate the question. Now I won't do question 34. 34 is a bit too easy, probably. So let's look at number 35. Let's look at number 35 because that's not done. Okay, so let's firstly look at how it's, so you're in the exam, you've been moseying along doing a couple of nice little probability questions, you're feeling good, and this thing drops on you. How do you know what it is? Well, again, there it is, diff, hence, anti-diff, and I can tell you, this thing here is pretty hard to do. Directly, you can't do it directly. It's just too hard to do. All right, can't do it directly. So, let's work through my method. Step 1, diff. You've got to get this right, because if you get this wrong, everything falls apart, obviously. So I'm going to say f of x, I'm going to set up, well, I should go to black, I'll go blue pen, stick a red. F of x, oh, green, okay. Can you see that, is that all right? Yep, f of x equals 3x squared take 2 power 4, f dash. Now there's only one mark I offer here, so you don't have to go through the whole chain rule palaver. You've got to write this answer down reasonably quickly. Remember the chain rule is, you treat this, the Newton method, if you had something to power 4, you'd make it 4 to the power 3. So do that. Make it 4 to the power 3. Keep that thing inside. And then don't forget to multiply by the derivative of what's inside. Multiply by the derivative of 3x squared, take 2, 6x. So tidy that up. I've got 24x, lots of 3x squared, take 2, all cubed. F dash x. Now, at this stage here, this should resemble the anti-diff bit. Okay? Up here, that should resemble. Now, it's not exactly the same, but it resembles it. The only difference is that's got negative x into that, whereas I've got 24x into that. So, okay? It's out by a constant. I'm happy. If it was 24x squared, or if it was negative x squared into that, then it's a problem. But it's pretty close. So, again, this isn't a great example, but I'll go through the method anyway. So there's step 1. Step 2 is to immediately, what we do now, is literally, we'll do anti-diff of f dash x dx, equals anti-diff of 24x 3x squared minus 2 power 3 dx, like that. Okay, we're going to do that. We actually write that down at our school. You might not need to do it. Helps our guys. So, left-hand side, anti of f dash x is just f of x. So I go straight back to my 3x squared, take 2 to the power 4 plus c. Over here, I can't diff that. Can't diff that. And this is where people get stuck. They try and... Not that you can't, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to try and anti-diff the right-hand side. You're supposed to isolate it. Okay? So I'm going to take out, I want in here, neg x lots of this. What do I need at the front here for this right-hand side to be true? I want that, because that's the question. What do I need out here to make this happen? I need a negative 24. So neg 24 times neg gives me pos 24. So I'll put a neg 24 out here, like that, and that's a constant out the front. That's step 2 done. Notice that I did not attempt. Do not attempt to anti-diff the stinky question bit. Okay? Don't try and do that. You are not supposed to do that. You are not able to do that. The whole idea is that you don't try and do that. So now what we do is isolate. So isolate, divide both sides by neg 24, which brings up one nice little question. So I'm going to get, I'll put neg 1/24th if you like, neg 1/24th of 3x squared minus 2 to the power 4. And what do I do here with this pesky c? What do I do with this c? A couple of options here. I can write this as neg c on 24 as well if I like. You can do that if you really want to. But I'll come back. On the right hand, I've got this. And again, what we find in exams every year is people will get to there, which is as beautiful as the answer will get pretty much, and then they go and try and anti-diff this and get 0 or 1. So one of the biggest lessons in this thing here is don't try and anti-diff the stinky bit that's from the question. You are not expected to anti-diff it. The other side does all the work. The work happens over there. This just sits over here getting the glory. That does the work. So then my answer is that. So my answer is the anti-diff of this equals that. I'm done. That's a correct and fine answer. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the constants in a second. Before I do, how'd you go with the method? Any questions about that? Yes.
I don't know if the C, or the C.
Well, yeah, so we talk about C. So in terms of the C, so a few things about it. Could I have left the C off there and put a constant there? Yeah, that'd be okay, because really the working on the way, it's not the end of the world if you, I don't want to try and sound like I'm changing my mind all the time, but it's important to have the C at the end. The C there is not vital on the way through. If you had a super pedantic marker, they might say yes it is. So it's dangerous to leave it off. My advice would be to either do this or another thing you can do with the constants is change from C1 to C2 to C3 to C4 at each step. Just keep making them new constants, okay? So in other words, I would write this thing, I'll do it in red. In red, I'll write the alternative, because I don't write the whole thing out. So I would call this plus C1, then down here, plus C2. New constant, it's constant, it's constant, it's constant. But it's not, if I can't just write plus C, because I'll divide that constant by 24, neg 24. I know it's tricky, here we go, questions. Middle. Was that,
Yeah,
yep.
I didn't quite get anything from step 2.
Okay, all right, I'll come back to that. Yep, fair enough. Yep.
Once you've got, once you start using alternative constants, do you have to state like how they relate to each other?
No, don't have to say C2 equals neg equals C1 on 24. Don't need that. Just C1, they're just new constants. That's happy days. You can do that, okay? Absolutely fine to do that. So probably they're the two main. Most answers we see in the exams, correct answers, are either plus C takes turn 24 or C1 plus C2. That's what we generally see. Yep.
Would you be able to use something like going from C to D? Obviously, then not to E, because they...
Yeah, in that case there you might have to write D as a constant because you're introducing a new letter. We're expecting C. Again, it's correct, but I guess another good idea to think is when's this person marking my exam? They've worked at school all day. It's probably might be 11:30. It might be the 150th they've done that night. Make it easy for the poor bugger. Okay, that'd be great. So easy give marks to nice clear papers. Yep. All right. Now in terms of this method, we'll do another one in a second. In terms of this method, what we do is so you're happy to there. All right. So the next step on from there is the isolate step. I want to isolate that question there. The question is find and if of negative x. At the moment, I've got this pesky neg 24 on the road. So all I do then is divide both sides by 24. Divide both sides by 24. So I divide both sides by neg 24. All right. So that's why that's neg 1/24th. Divide by neg 24, neg 1/24th. Divide by neg 24, neg 24. And this thing becomes just a question. And now if you read from right to left, that equals that. And that's my answer. So it's just isolate. Now,
Both of them are antidot.
pardon?
Both of them are antidot.
No, well, you get that. See that you want to leave the question as is. All the work happens over here. Now, after the break, I'll do another couple of examples, or you'll do some more of these, and you'll see how they work through. Okay, I think that's best to do them by doing, if that's all right. Okay, I know it's a very tough spot to stop. I was hoping to be one more question on, but we're to come back at 11 o'clock and continue on with these. These are really important. So the deal now is the